Today's recipe is delicious cinnamon buns. Here I will be using 560 grams of all-purpose flour known as maida. Here I will be using 320 ml of milk. I've divided the milk into two portions. This is 160 ml and this is also 160 ml. This milk I'll use for activating the yeast, and this milk I will add it to the rest of my ingredients. Here I've got light brown sugar, which is 86 grams. If you don't have light brown sugar, you can substitute it with white sugar. I will also be using white sugar, so it is 50 grams here. Here I have some melted butter, which is around 113 grams of melted butter, or half a cup. Here I will be using one large egg, which is at room temperature. Here I've got 2¼ teaspoons of active dry yeast. Here I've got about 4 grams of salt, and I will be using vanilla sugar. This is around I think 8 grams, 9 grams. This is 9 grams of vanilla sugar. So if you have essence, you can use a teaspoon of essence. So this portion is for the dough. The recipe is divided into the dough, filling, and the glaze. So this is for the dough. Now I'll show you what you need for the filling and the glaze. We'll be using 2 tablespoons of sugar to activate the yeast, which is separate from the 50 grams of white sugar. These are the ingredients we need for the filling. Here I'm using brown sugar, which is around 140 grams. Here I've got some cinnamon powder, which is also known as dalchini. It's 1 tablespoon. Now it's up to you. If you want it a little stronger, you can add half a tablespoon more, but I think that's too strong for my family, so we like it this way. I will also be using a pinch of salt, which I've added to this cinnamon powder. Here I've got some butter, which is around 6 tablespoons. So this is what I will be using for the filling. Next, I'll show you what ingredients to use for glazing these delicious cinnamon buns. There are different types of glaze that you can do for these buns. So here, this is for cream cheese glaze. Here I've got about 100 grams of soft cream cheese. I will also be using powdered sugar, which is 30 grams of powdered sugar. Here I've got some milk, which is around 2 tablespoons. If I need an extra tablespoon, I might add it, or this will be enough for the recipe. And here I will be using 1 tablespoon of softened butter, as well as some vanilla sugar. Now if you have vanilla essence, you can go ahead and use that, but I have the sugar, so I'm going to use that. So this is one of the glaze that you can use. I'll show you another style of glaze. The other glaze is very simple. What I'll do is I will be using 35% of whipping cream, as well as some condensed milk. I will pour it over the cinnamon buns before baking. So this is the plain and simple glaze which I will be doing, and then after it's baked, I will do the cream cheese frosting for some of the cinnamon buns. So let's start baking. I've just heated the milk to a lukewarm temperature, so I need to check the temperature of the milk. It should be anywhere around 100 to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, or 38 degrees Celsius to 43, and that's when I will add in my sugar and my yeast, and I will let this rest for at least 10 minutes till the yeast gets activated. So now you can see it's around 105 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point of time, I will just add my sugar, which is around 2 tablespoons of sugar, and just give it a quick stir. I will also add in my active dry yeast. Now, if the milk is not warm enough, then this yeast will not rise. So make sure the milk is lukewarm. By lukewarm, I mean if you just touch the milk and it's warm enough, that's a good temperature too. So now I will let this yeast rest in this milk, and sugar acts as food for this yeast. While the yeast is resting, I will also crack my egg. And I've mentioned in many of my baking videos, I always remove this white portion of the egg, because this gives the egg its smell, which we don't want. And I always run it through a sieve So if any of the white portion remains, it just remains in the sieve. So I like to sieve my egg always, and you can find this in every recipe of my baking video. You can see the egg is whisked well. Let's prepare cream cheese frosting. I'm adding milk to it, and I will just try to mix it together. Decided to shift the ingredients to a food processor. That will quicken my work, because if I do it with my hand, it's going to take some time, and mixing won't be as good as when you use a whisk or a food processor. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I will also add in the sugar as well as the butter and the vanilla sugar too, and let's get ready to blend it into a smooth mixture. Now let's check on it. You can see it's smoothly blended, and this is ready to use as a frosting. I'll just remove it in a bowl and keep it aside. Now let's check if the yeast has been activated or yeast is bloomed. Here you can see the yeast is activated. Now if this doesn't bubble up like this, that means your yeast is not activated and you'll have to restart the whole process. So this is perfect now for my dough, and I will be moving on to preparing that now. Moving on to the next step of making this dough, I will be adding milk, the remaining milk that I had, and now I will add in my melted butter. And what I want to do is I just want to give it a quick mix, and now I will add in my salt. I will also add in my brown sugar and the egg as well, and give it a good mix. And I'll just get a quick mix again, making sure the sugar doesn't stick to the bottom of this stand mixer bowl. I will now add in my flour, the flour slowly into my bowl, and I've sifted the flour. The reason I did that is to avoid any kind of lumps in my dough. Also add in the activated yeast, and now let's mix everything on low speed first. I'm increasing the speed now, so you can play around with the speed here while making this dough, because you need the dough to come together. So there's no specific speed for bringing this dough together, so I just play around with whatever works for this dough. I used half of this butter with the milk in the beginning of making this dough, and the second half I will be using once this dough comes a bit together. So I'm going to introduce the second half of this butter, and I'll start the mixing again. Now I will add in the remaining butter as well. So I've used all the butter that is required for the dough in this recipe, and I'm going to mix it till the dough comes together with the butter. While using the stand mixer, always just try to scrape the bottom of the dough in intervals, and then continue kneading the dough till it comes together. I can see the dough is ready, everything has come together. Now to check if the dough is ready for the first rise, what you need to do, just press it gently and you can see it bounces back, which means this dough is ready to rest for 1 hour. While the dough is rising, what I will be doing is I will be preparing the filling. So you can see there's brown sugar and there is a pinch of salt with cinnamon powder. So I'm going to mix them well together. Just mix them. Now you have two options. Either you can apply this melted butter directly to the pastry or the dough, or you can just mix it with the cinnamon and make a nice paste of it. So that's what I'm going to do. Just add all the butter and we'll make a nice paste, and I can get the amazing aromatic flavors of the cinnamon. I mix the butter and this is ready. Now if you want to add say a tablespoon of butter, you can add. If it's not easy to spread this on the pastry, you can even add a add more butter to it, and this filling is ready to use. So let's check on if the dough has risen well, and it's been an hour, and you can see it's doubled in size. And I just put this in. You can see how nicely it's done. Now I'll remove it from this bowl and I will spread it on a sheet, a tray, and then shape it. Now you can see how it's amazingly risen, and I've just placed it on this clean sheet of baking tray because I will be using this as a mat. So I'm just trying to spread it out, and we'll spread it out evenly. This is around 14 inches by about 24 inches. I'm just trying to spread the dough equally. I'll just remove it from this pan and then I will roll it out. I've just placed this dough here and it's easier for me to roll it out now. So I'm going to do that. I've just rolled it out into a rectangle, and now I will spread the prepared cinnamon paste and just apply a thin layer. I just spread the filling evenly. Now from the corners, I'm going to roll it in slowly, and I'll roll it in till the end. Now I've rolled it in. Now what I want to do is, I just want to turn it a bit on the upside, and I want to pinch these ends together so they don't open. You can see, just pinch. Close the roll. Now I will cut the ends first so that I can get a clean cut on the roll. So this I'll just keep it aside. You can either use a pizza cutter, or you can use a knife as well. So, and just cut into it. So you can see how nicely this is cut, and I will be using this as my measure to cut the remaining pieces. Here I've cut 12 pieces, you can see, and now I'll place them in my 9 by 12 baking dish. Let's start placing the cinnamon rolls and just leave a little gap. After placing it in the dish, I'm going to keep it for at least 2 hours for it to rise again. If you think it's opening, just pinch it and place it. Some of them are uneven, that's fine. Now I've placed these cinnamon rolls in this baking dish. I will now pour the glaze over it, and then I will cover and let it rise for a second time. So for that I will be using, now this is option, but I will be using some whipping cream, and I'll just pour over some whipping cream over it. I'll also pour in some condensed milk. If you have a pastry brush, just brush everything well together. I just removed the excess whipping cream by mistake. I over poured it, but it's easy to remove it. Just tilt the dish a bit and remove it. Now I'll cover this and let it rise for at least 1.5 hours or till it doubles, and keep it in a warm place. It's been an hour and a half since this cinnamon rolls have risen. Now what I'll do is I will place it in a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. First I will bake it covered with the foil for 20 minutes, and then I'll remove the foil after 20 minutes and further bake it for another 20 minutes or till it's done. So in total I will be baking for around 40 minutes, but every oven is different. You'll need to check how it's baked in your oven. Once it's baked, what I like doing is I like to insert a knife through the cinnamon rolls to see if it's done, and now you can see my knife comes out clean when I check that, and this is ready to serve. While the cinnamon rolls are warm, I will spread the cream cheese frosting that has been prepared earlier, and I will serve it warm because that's how we enjoy our cinnamon rolls. Now I'll cut into it and show you how it looks, and it's really well done. If you like this video, please comment, like, share and subscribe to my channel. Please click on the bell icon for notification of my latest videos, and thank you for watching. Enjoy!